Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says agriculture reforms offer new markets to farmers. Government committed to increase farmers' income. In a major step under the new agricultural law, SDM Court Hoshangabad in Madhya Pradesh orders a private company to purchase produce from contracted farmers. Prime Minister to address Global Climate Summit this evening. National COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 94.89%. Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan says ensuring highest standards of medical education is top priority for the government. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today expressed happiness that the speed of economic recovery is encouraging despite the ups and downs due to COVID-19 pandemic. Delivering the inaugural address at FICCI's 93rd Annual General Meeting, Mr. Modi said the economic indicators are raising hopes and the country has learnt a lot during the difficult times. He gave the credit to the country's entrepreneurs, youth, farmers and all Indians.
आज जो इकोनॉमी के इंडिकेटर्स हैं वो उत्साह बढ़ाने वाले हैं, हौसला बढ़ाने वाले हैं। संकट के समय देश ने जो सीखा है उसने भविष्य के संकल्पों को और दृढ़ किया है और निश्चित तौर पर इसका बहुत बड़ा श्रेय भारत के एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को जाता है, भारत की युवा पीढ़ी को जाता है, भारत के किसानों को जाता है।
The Prime Minister said government reforms are removing all kinds of needless frameworks. He pointed out that the agriculture sector is one such example. Mr. Modi said rural India is undergoing a massive change today and active internet users in rural India today is higher than urban India. He said more than half of India's startups are in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
रूरल इंडिया में एक्टिव इंटरनेट यूजर्स की संख्या शहरों से ज्यादा हो चुकी है। क्या आप जानते हैं कि भारत के आधे से ज्यादा स्टार्टअप्स हमारे Tier 2, Tier 3 शहरों में हैं। प्रधानमंत्री ग्रामीण सड़क योजना से देश की लगभग 98% बस्तियां सड़कों से जुड़ चुकी हैं। कहने का मतलब ये कि गांव के लोग अब बाजार, स्कूल, अस्पताल और दूसरी सुविधाओं से तेजी से जुड़ रहे हैं।
Mr. Modi said agricultural reforms offer new markets to farmers as the government is committed to increase farmers' income and make them more prosperous. He said farmers of India can today sell their produce at the mandis as well as outside and also sell their produce on digital platforms.
एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर और उससे जुड़े अन्य क्षेत्रों, चाहे वो एग्रीकल्चर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो, फूड प्रोसेसिंग हो, स्टोरेज हो, कोल्ड चेन हो, इनके बीच पहले हमने ही ऐसी दीवारें देखी हैं। अब ये सभी दीवारें हटाई जा रही हैं। इन दीवारों के हटने के बाद, इन रिफॉर्म्स के बाद किसानों को नए बाजार मिलेंगे, नए विकल्प मिलेंगे, उन्हें टेक्नोलॉजी का ज्यादा लाभ मिलेगा, देश का कोल्ड स्टोरेज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर आधुनिक होगा। इन सब से कृषि क्षेत्र में ज्यादा निवेश होगा।
The Prime Minister said the country that saved most of its citizens during a global pandemic is capable of bouncing back in all other sectors. He stated that India preferred saving precious individual lives and the entire country took several unprecedented steps together to fight the pandemic. He said foreign investors have made record investment in FDI in India during the COVID period.
वो बीते महीनों में और मजबूत हुआ है। FDI हो या FPI, विदेशी निवेशकों ने रिकॉर्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट भारत में किया है और निरंतर कर रहे हैं। साथियों, आज देश का प्रत्येक नागरिक आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान को सफल बनाने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। लोकल के लिए वोकल होकर काम कर रहा है।
The Prime Minister said that India's private sector cannot just fulfill domestic needs, but should also create a global image for itself. He said Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan is a vision to make quality products in India and make Indian industries globally competitive. He said a decisive government does not want to keep all the power to itself. He said the right government wants all stakeholders to use all of its talents and make valuable contributions. He stressed that India has been witnessing that in the last 6 years. The Prime Minister said India's corporate tax is among the most competitive in the world. India is also one of the few countries that have faceless assessment and faceless appeal facility. He said India has left behind the era of Inspector Raj and tax terrorism.
भारत में आज हर क्षेत्र में हर स्टेक होल्डर की भागीदारी बढ़ाने के लिए काम हो रहा है। इसी सोच के साथ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग से एमएसएमई तक, एग्रीकल्चर से लेकर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तक, टेक इंडस्ट्री से टैक्सेशन तक, रियल एस्टेट से रेगुलेटरी ईजिंग तक चौतरफा रिफॉर्म किए गए हैं। आज भारत में कॉरपोरेट टैक्स दुनिया में सबसे कॉम्पिटिटिव है। आज भारत दुनिया के उन कुछ देशों में शामिल है जहां फेसलेस असेसमेंट और फेसलेस अपील की सुविधा है। इंस्पेक्टर राज और टैक्स टेररिज्म के दौर के पीछे छोड़कर भारत अपने देश के उद्यमियों के सामर्थ्य पर भरोसा करते हुए आगे बढ़ रहा है।
Mr. Modi emphasized that the economy does not need hurdles between sectors but bridges to support each other. He said the world's largest direct bank transfer system is working in India, which has been heavily lauded in an international journal recently. He said India, unlike most other countries, was able to deposit crores of rupees to its poor and needy via direct benefit transfer during the COVID pandemic.
In a major step in the interest of farmers under the new agriculture law, SDM Court Hoshangabad in Madhya Pradesh has ordered a private company to purchase produce from contracted farmers. More from a Bhopal correspondent.
This is probably the first case in the country where action has been taken under new agriculture reforms law. SDM Piparia Nitin Tale informed that action was taken by the district administration against Fortune Rice Limited, Delhi, for not purchasing the farmers' produce despite the contract with farmers. The action has been taken under Farmers Empowerment and Protection Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020. Farmers expressed happiness over this decision. Earlier, such acts by the companies caused economic losses to the farmers, but now the rights of the farmers are well protected under new agriculture reforms law. Pooja Pivardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the Global Climate Summit this evening on the occasion of the 5th anniversary of the Paris Climate Agreement. The Paris Agreement is a landmark deal in the multilateral climate change process. For the first time, a binding agreement brought all nations into a common cause to undertake ambitious efforts to combat climate change and adapt to its effects. It is a legally binding international treaty on climate change which was adopted by 196 parties at the 21st session of the Conference of the Parties COP in Paris on the 12th of December 2015 and came into force on the 4th of November 2016. Briefing media New Delhi on the eve of the completion of 5 years of the Paris Agreement yesterday, Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar said the United Kingdom has called for a virtual global climate summit today and the Prime Minister would also be taking part in the meeting. Mr. Javadekar has said that climate change is not an overnight phenomenon and it has taken the last 100 years to have an impact on the environment.
पेरिस एग्रीमेंट में हमने जो मंजूर किया था वो ये था कि हमारी एमिशन इंटेंसिटी ऑफ जीडीपी विल बी रिड्यूस्ड by 33 to 35%. This was a huge commitment and I'm happy to say that we have already achieved 21%. So remaining 12-13% we'll achieve in next 10 years.
Mr. Javadekar said climate change is not a result of recent actions but of historical actions. He said historically the United States of America has 25% of CO2 emissions. Europe has 22%, whereas China has 13% and India only 3% of emission. The Environment Minister said India in no way is responsible for this climate change, but as a responsible participant in world affairs, India chose to take part in combating climate change. He said India's historical as well as present contribution to greenhouse gas emissions is very low. The minister said India is one of the few countries which are Paris Agreement compliant. He said India's nationally determined contribution will lead to less than 2-degree rise in temperature. He said according to the Climate Transparency Report 2020, India is the only G20 country to meet its commitments.
The Prime Minister yesterday addressed the International Bharati Festival organized by the Vanaville Culture Centre in Chennai through video conferencing. He reiterated that the central government is committed to empowerment of each and every citizen of the country, including the poorest of the poor. Mr. Modi said Mudra loans were disbursed to 15 crore women and they have become economically self-reliant. Noting that women's empowerment is an important vision of Mahakavi Subramania Bharati, the Prime Minister said women are now joining the armed forces as officers with permanent commission.
It would make you happy that in every sphere of our government's working, there has been importance given to dignity of women. Today, over 15 crore women entrepreneurs are funded by schemes like Mudra Yojana. They are walking with their head held high, looking us in the eye and telling us how they are becoming self-reliant. Today, women are becoming part of our armed forces with permanent commissioning. They are walking with their head held high and looking us in the eye and filling us with confidence that the country is in safe hands.
The Prime Minister said Bharati held both Indian nationalism and Tamil linguistic pride as his two eyes. He said Subramania Bharati was connected with his roots while looking at the future. Mr. Modi said he emphasized that we need to develop a scientific temper and not live in the past. The Prime Minister conferred this year's Bharati Award to the noted writer Sini Vishwanathan.
You were listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says agriculture reforms offer new market to farmers. Government committed to increase farmers' income. In a major step under the new agriculture law, SDM Court Hoshangabad in Madhya Pradesh orders a private company to purchase produce from contracted farmers. Prime Minister to address Global Climate Summit this evening. National COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 94.89%. Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan says ensuring higher standards of medical education is top priority for government. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
To get accurate, reliable and wide coverage of news, tune into AIR News 24/7 and FM Gold and listen to the major bulletins at 8:30 AM, 2 PM and 8:30 PM in English and 8 AM, 2:30 PM and 8 PM in Hindi of half an hour each.
Welcome back to the Midday News. The country's COVID-19 recovery rate has reached around 94.89%. During the last 24 hours, 33,494 COVID patients have recovered. The Health Ministry said total number of recoveries has gone up to over 93,24,000. The actual caseload currently comprises only 3.66% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 3,59,819. In the last 24 hours, over 30,000 new cases were reported, taking the total number of positive cases in the country to over 98,26,000. The ministry said effective implementation of the strategic and graded test, track and treat approach has led to higher recoveries and lower fatality. Currently, India's case fatality rate is 1.45%, which is one of the lowest globally. During the last 24 hours, 442 deaths were reported, taking the COVID-related death toll to 1,42,628. According to the Indian Council of Medical Research, more than 10,65,000 tests were conducted during the last 24 hours. The total number of samples tested so far has reached over 15 crore 26 lakh. In Delhi, a total of 2,085 fresh cases of COVID-19 were recorded during the last 24 hours, taking the total number to 6,06,335. The Delhi government has said over 5,74,000 people have recovered from the infection so far. In the last 24 hours, 2,402 people have recovered and 60 deaths were reported in the national capital, taking the toll to 9,934. Presently, the total number of active cases in Delhi is 18,676.
In Bihar, active patients of COVID-19 are decreasing continuously. Currently, 5,225 patients are undergoing treatment at various hospitals. About 2,000 patients are under treatment in Patna. 674 patients have recovered in the last 24 hours, while 680 new cases were reported. Over 2,35,615 patients have so far recovered from the COVID-19 infection in the state. COVID-19 recovery rate in Bihar has improved to 97.30%. Telangana has reported 635 fresh COVID cases through the past 24 hours. With this, the total cases reported in the state has gone up to over 2,77,000. The state conducted over 52,000 tests yesterday. The recovery rate reported at 96.69%, with 565 more people recovering yesterday. A total of 1,489 deaths have been reported in the state, following 4 more persons succumbing in the past 24 hours. Currently, the state has over 7,000 active cases, out of which over 5,500 are in home isolation.
Arunachal Pradesh recorded the highest number of COVID-19 recoveries on Friday. A state health department release stated 424 patients were discharged across the state after recovery from the disease. Itanagar Capital Complex alone accounted for 406 recoveries. With this, the total recovered patients in the state stands at 16,163 till last evening, with a recovery rate of 97.97%. 18 fresh cases reported on Friday, and the active cases now stand at 279. 55 people have lost their lives to the disease in the state so far. Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan today said ensuring the highest standards of medical education is a top priority for the government. He said medical education forms the apex of the healthcare pyramid. The minister digitally addressed the convocation ceremony of Lady Hardinge Medical College, New Delhi. He told the students that it is the quality of graduating doctors and specialists that will determine the quality of healthcare services in the country for generations to come. He reminded all the students that medicine is not another profession but a vocation. 197 undergraduate students, 129 postgraduate students and 7 postdoctorals received their degrees today.
The News Services Division brings glimpses of the year that was in a special series year ended 2020. COVID-19 pandemic has been the biggest story of the year, and India has seen the fight back against the COVID-19 pandemic under the dynamic leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. A report from a correspondent about the role of traditional systems of medicine in tackling the COVID-19 pandemic.
When COVID-19 pandemic engulfed the world, governments of all the countries and medical experts started efforts to search the effective solutions to tackle with this deadly disease. In India also, efforts have been made to deal with the coronavirus with the help of traditional medicine systems like Ayurveda and Yoga, along with modern medical practices. These traditional medicines played a remarkable role in boosting the immunity of people in the absence of any effective vaccine during the COVID-19 pandemic. Talking to AIR News, COVID survivor Sumit Kumar Jha of Delhi said that traditional methods like boiled water, kadha and haldi milk provided great relief to him during the fight against corona disease.
After being COVID positive, I started drinking warm water, boiled with herbs like ginger, haldi and basil. Besides, I also taken boiled milk with haldi and kadha made with the several herbs. These methods provided great relief to me and boosted my immunity level. Today, I am fully recovered.
Government is taking several steps toward the integration of traditional medicine solutions with modern medical practices and scientific validation of tested traditional medicine products and practices. These steps have made Ayurveda and yoga an important part of the health policy of our country. Government is also working to set up 1,50,000 health and wellness centers across the country, and out of these 12,500 Ayush wellness centers will completely be dedicated to Ayurveda. Bhupendra Singh, AIR News, Delhi.
Today is International Universal Health Coverage Day. The day is observed on the 12th of December every year to raise awareness of the need for a strong and resilient health systems and universal health coverage with multi-stakeholder partners. Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan presided over Universal Health Coverage Day celebrations via video conferencing in Delhi. He said in view of the global pandemic, the theme of this year is Health for All, Protect Everyone. He said there is a need to invest in health systems that protect everybody. He said COVID-19 has greatly magnified the need for building resilient healthcare systems.
India has said that Chinese action along the line of actual control (LAC) in the last 6 months is in violation of the bilateral agreements and protocols on ensuring peace and tranquility. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Anurag Srivastava said the situation which has been witnessed over the last 6 months is the result of actions by the Chinese side which has sought to effect a unilateral change in status along the LAC in eastern Ladakh.
These actions are in violation of the bilateral agreements and protocols on ensuring peace and tranquility along the LAC in the India-China border areas. Both sides need to strictly follow the various bilateral agreements and protocols in their entirety, including the 1993 and 1996 agreement on maintenance of peace and tranquility along the LAC in the border areas, which require that there should not be amassing of troops. Each side should strictly abide by and respect the LAC and should not take any unilateral action to alter it. We have taken note of the Chinese side's statement that it observes strictly the agreements between the two sides and is committed to resolving the border issue through dialogue and safeguarding peace and tranquility in the border areas. We expect the Chinese side will match words with actions.
In Assam, counting of votes for the Borderland Territorial Council (BTC) polls underway amidst tight security. As per the latest information, UPPL is leading in 23 seats and BPF is leading in 7 seats. BJP is leading in 6 seats. The BJP has made a good comeback in BTC polls this year as it had won only a single seat in the last polls. There are a total of 40 seats in Borderland Territorial Council. The counting of ballot papers is likely to continue till night.
The government has exempted handicraft and GI toys from quality control order, taking steps towards the Prime Minister's vision of making India a global manufacturing hub for sale and export of toys. Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade DPIIT has devised a comprehensive action plan. Quality control order has been issued by the Department for Standardization of Quality Adherence of Toys. The order will come into effect from 1st of January next year. Now, DPIIT has released Toys Quality Control Second Amendment Order 2020. It exempts goods manufactured and sold by artisans registered with Development Commissioner Handicrafts from use of standard mark under license from Bureau of Indian Standards. All the states except Tamil Nadu have availed benefits of the recently announced scheme for special assistance to states for capital expenditure. The scheme was announced by the Finance Minister on 12th of October as a part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat package. The scheme is aimed at boosting capital expenditure by the state governments who are facing difficult financial environment this year due to the shortfall in tax revenue arising from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Maharashtra's Department of Social Justice is all set to launch an ambitious scheme for distribution of assistive devices to lakhs of persons with disabilities through Mahasharad digital platform today to coincide with NCP Chief Sharad Pawar's 80th birthday. It will be available on Play Store by March 2021. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
Maharashtra System for Health and Rehabilitation Assistance or Mahasharad platform has been created to provide various devices to persons with disabilities free of cost through the Commissionerate for Persons with Disability. Modern equipments and devices help Divyang to lead life like normal individuals. Several people, organizations, private companies, industrialists and others are willing to make available such equipments for Divyang. The Mahasharat platform will help such donors meet needy Divyang. Those in need can start registering on the portal from today itself. This is the first such experiment in the state to bring together the needy disabled people and various social groups who want to help them. Madhuri Pange, AIR News, Mumbai.
Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa unveiled the manure-making machine Bhu-Siri and soil testing equipment Bhu-Mitra in Bengaluru yesterday. It has been developed by High-Tech Agriculture Chairman Dr. Nagaraj Hegde. Our correspondent reports that both Bhu-Siri and Bhu-Mitra machines will be promoted by the State Agriculture Department to prevent farmers from burning stubble and other crop residue and benefit from organic farming. Here is a report.
Bhu-Siri machine uses farm waste to convert it into organic manure, thereby preventing stubble burning by farmers. Instead of 40 to 60 days, the machine converts farm waste into organic manure instantly. The machine is mobile and can be taken to farmers' fields easily. This will not only protect the environment from burning of crop residue, but also increase the fertility of the soil by infusing the organic manure. Similarly, Bhu-Mitra machine developed indigenously can test 23 micronutrient content in soil. Normally, labs take over a week to test the samples, but Bhu-Mitra gives test results immediately. It does not use chemicals, but gives soil test reports based on physical chemistry and IT-enabled technology to find out the soil health. Both the machines are likely to protect the environment, promote organic farming, improve soil health and reduce dependency on chemical fertilizers. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
Indian Military Academy gave another batch of brave hearts to the Indian Army as 325 cadets passed out from the prestigious institute today in Dehradun. After the final step, the cadets became an integral part of the armed forces. 70 cadets from the 9 friendly countries also passed out from the portals of IMA. Vice Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General S.K. Saini, PVSM, AVSM, YSM, VSM, ADC was present as the reviewing officer of the parade. The entire ceremony was conducted with due COVID precautions. While being conducted in scaled-down backdrop on account of COVID, the passing out parade retained ceremonial grandeur and regalia symbolic of this once-in-a-lifetime moment for the proud gentleman cadets.
The high reaches of Himachal Pradesh's tribal districts Kinnaur and Lahore Spiti received snowfall while state capital Shimla and other areas were lashed by rains. Kelong in Lahore Spiti has received 6 inches of snowfall while 1.5 feet of fresh snow has occurred at Rohtang Pass. The Manali-Kelong route and the circuit roads of the Lahore Valley have been closed for vehicular traffic due to snowfall. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital witnessed light rains in the morning. The minimum temperature was 14 degrees Celsius. Maximum will be around 27 degrees. Mumbai will have a partly cloudy sky. Temperature will vary between 24 and 32 degrees. Chennai will have a mainly cloudy sky. Temperature will hover between 22 and 29 degrees. Kolkata is expected to have fog or mist. The city will have a cloudy sky with minimum temperature of 16 degrees, maximum of 23 degrees. Onto the north, Srinagar will witness generally cloudy sky with light rain. Temperature will hover between 1 degree Celsius and 10 degrees. In Jammu, minimum temperature was 11 degrees, while maximum will be 21. The city will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Leh is expected to have a partly cloudy sky towards evening or night. Minimum temperature was -6 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 6 degrees. Gilgit will have rain or thunder showers. Temperature will hover between 2 and 10 degrees. Muzaffarabad is expected to have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Temperature will move between 4 to 16 degrees. In Dehradun, temperature will hover between 11 and 21. The city will have a partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunder showers. Chandigarh will have a partly cloudy sky. Temperature likely to hover from 14 to 21 degrees. In Hyderabad, minimum temperature will be around 16 degrees, maximum around 31. The city will have a partly cloudy sky with haze. Patna is to experience partly cloudy sky. Temperature between 13 and 22. In Guwahati, minimum temperature was 15 degrees, while maximum will be around 27. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says agriculture reforms offer new markets to farmers. Government committed to increase farmers' income. In a major step under the new agricultural law, SDM Court Hoshangabad in Madhya Pradesh orders a private company to purchase produce from contracted farmers. Prime Minister to address Global Climate Summit this evening. National COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 94.89%, and Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan says ensuring highest standards of medical education is top priority for the government. And with that, we end the midday news.